water is contaminated with the everybody die virus. Like, I'm sorry I had to stop talking because the cave was so intensive. But like everybody gets infected with the you gotta die virus. And it's so gross because the man in the chair, because I'm calling him that, he gets detention not only for having been late to class, but because he wouldn't shut the fuck up during class. And the teacher gave him detention. While in detention, there's a girl in detention who is crying. And he asks her, like, what was wrong? Why you sad? And she's like, my boyfriend dumped me. And he goes into like what I am going to call the proverbial virgin statement of, like, anybody who would, dump you is, that's a fool in my book, baby. Like, da 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 da. And then, like, immediately smash cut to them in the bathroom fucking. Like, smash cut to them in the bathroom making out and all this other fuckery, right?
Mm-hmm.
What then happens is she pushes him into a stall and she's, getting ready to, slob on his knob like corn on the cob. And the camera...
Okay, gotta run. I'm really annoyed because I made it to, like, the floor before that, but I had to kill a bunch of monsters, so it just wasn't happening. Continue.
So, like, the camera does this thing where she's like he's really like not like and she's like, what's wrong? And the camera zooms in to show her face, and she has a big fucking cold sore on her lip, and he's like, oh, nothing, it's fine. And she proceeds to give him some of that sloppy toppy, and like in a few seconds he comes in her mouth. And like she goes over to the sink, spits it out, and like him being like the sorry motherfucker that he is like, hey, will you go to prom with me? And she says a lot of dumb shit about how she's like an adult and she has to work for a living and blah 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 blah. And so he's just like begging her, please come to prom with me. And she's like, okay, fine. If I can get somebody to cover my shift, I'll totally go to the prom with you. And he's like, awesome. That's where that stops. So it's just really important to understand that she had a cold sore. She had herpes. So best case scenario for him, he's got herpes now. Because if I'm not mistaken, like oral herpes can turn into genital herpes. Remember that, kids. If she's got a cold sore and she sucks your dick, you can get herpes. So that's kind of where the outbreak, like, it's so bad. Like, because everybody's drinking this contaminated water, it doesn't really matter what you do. Like, there's a janitor, a black janitor man, who is so he hates the kids. Like, two of the lines that he has in the movie is like, damn, like, ungrateful, something or other. So, the fat girl, so I'm skipping so far ahead. The fat girl, like, because at this point, it's important to note that, like, when the man in the chair is getting ready to go to prom, like, his homeboy doesn't want to go. Peter doesn't want to go to the prom. So he has to talk him into the prom because they were both anti-prom and prom is dumb and fuck this and school's stupid because they didn't have dates. But now that he has a date, he's trying to go. So they do like a montage of everybody getting ready to go to the prom. And man in the chair, his fucking fingernail comes off. His fingernail comes off. And he's trying to fucking, he looks into like the bathroom cabinet to see if there's some goddamn like band-aids, and there aren't any. So he proceeds to get super glue and try to glue his goddamn fingernail back on. This son of a bitch. So fast forward to the party, the fat girl, which was currently my favorite character in the movie, just noted like the hot girl in school is dating a rich asshole, like his dad's rich and he's an asshole, like that's important but it ain't. So the fat girl decides to make some punch. She goes into the kitchen, the school's kitchen, and makes some punch. And what ends up happening is she's like, oh, this punch isn't very good. So she makes her own by like putting punch mix and the tainted water in the punch bowl, which would have been enough, right? But fucking Black Janitor Man, yes. In the credits, that's what it said. And it didn't. He decides that he fucking hates these kids so much. He takes the fucking punch bowl, puts it on the floor, and proceeds to piss the strongest goddamn piss stream this side of West Indiana. I read an article about you in the local paper. I'm so impressed with your progress on the farm. Keep this up, and a dear old dad might be retiring in Fern Island, in a Fern Islands luxury bungalow. After all, love, Dad. Fern Islands look like they should have been capitalized because it seems like it was very important. Okay, so while he's pissing this god tier level piss stream, as the pee is winding down, he continues to pee, and his pee, he just starts pissing blood. Not like, oh man, that's a little pee in my blood. He's just pissing blood. Like there was.
No, you said it right. There's a little pee in my blood.
No. Oh, yeah, right.
It
right.
really took you that long.
You're right. I'm trying to go through the Geo guy, and I don't know this game, so my head was doing so many things there. He had a little piss in his blood. And what ends up happening is, like, he just kind of was like, he's like, oh man, fuck. Like, that's kind of like hold on. That's kind of,
man, fuck.
oh man, fuck. Like, it was one of those, oh shit, I ain't supposed to have that much pee in my blood. Or the other way around where it makes sense. Because it's not, okay, here's the thing. Under no circumstance, if you piss the amount of blood, understand, like, all jokes aside, he was urinating blood.
No.
Like, just straight, like, you know how sometimes, like, you might shit chocolate milk? Because your shit just comes out liquidy and smooth brown? He was pissing blood as if there was just blood in his bladder, and he was pissing it out. Instead of being like, ah! I did my best to protect y'all from that. He was like, ah, fuck. And he like quickly.
Well, that ain't right.
He quickly just, oh my gosh. He quickly zips his pants up and then puts the pissy punch back on the table and leaves, which is not what he should have done. Like, I don't know what happened, but somehow, like, just it's not now, but like somehow, like, the CDC or some people get involved and find out there's a fucking thing going down. I think the cop from earlier realizes, like, oh shit, we're going back to the mine.
Yeah, I gotta put something. Well, I need to donate some stuff, and then I'll be there.
I'll wait on you so we can do it together as friends,
Okay.
as brothers in arms of each other, over Ryan even. So it's not. I don't know how else to describe what the fuck happens.
I mean, I'm not surprised by any of this, because again, like, it does come off like the first movie is a very mean-spirited, like, people are really shitty, huh? Type of movie, and like, just gross. It just comes off as one of
like, yeah, that's what it is. It's not like a traditional horror in the sense that it's, oh no, scary. It's just nasty. Like, straight up, like, so there's a part where the fat girl meets up with this guy, and he's like, hey, what's going on? And she's like, nah. And he's like, hey, you want to go, like, into, like, the pool of our very, like, clearly very well-to-do high school and fuck around? And she's like, I'm fat. Of course I want to do that. Like, you're skinny and attractive. Yes, come fuck me. Without a condom. Please give me STDs. So they do that, and my favorite part was that the fat girl got completely naked. and like they didn't like zoom in on it. It was like from the other side of the pool. They showed both of them getting in the pool naked. Also, it was one of those like, oh, there were titties. There were like there was titties, and they was like that was it. Like not a lot of like when the girl gave old dude some top in the bathroom and gave him a blumpkin. Um, you saw
And
like
you're telling me this is all from a high school?
that's exactly where I'm going with that. Yeah, like these are high school kids and they're doing a lot of fucking.
I
So
mean, to be fair, like that's kind of like
yeah, but we're not supposed
supposed to
to.
be the thing.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is they, God bless, they end up he ends up I think fingering her or something and
Um,
like she's bleeding and he's like, oh my God, are you on your period? She's like, no,
oh
I'm a
no!
I'm a virgin. And somehow that explains the way of the blood. And he's like, oh, cool then. And so they start kissing, and her gums start bleeding, and they kind of start bleeding profusely. And he is very upset about this. And it's like, honestly, yeah, that's. And like, she starts bleeding pretty badly, like enough to where like she's hemorrhaging blood out of her body. She's hemorrhaging blood. And she's trying to swim away and just kind of goes into the water. And what ends up happening is he sees her go into the water and he decides to go over and help her out. And she pulls him into the water and they both die, I guess?
Okay.
So that's that. It's
Well,
like
what
the
the fuck?
most. I don't know. That gave me nothing back. I'm low on health. Um. So here's my favorite. Here's one of my favorite parts. The man in the chair. Man in the chair. Homeboy finally shows up, and he's like, "So where's your date or whatever?" And he's like, basically, he's like, "Yeah, I'm just waiting on my date, yada yada yada." And he asks him like, "Hey, you want me to read you some punch?" He's like, "Nah." Tastes like somebody pissed in it. As he's taking a sip of the punch, and like that was my first thought was, you know what, biohazard, you know, barring, you know, if it's bad, stop fucking drinking it. Like if that's how you're able to describe the punch as it tastes like somebody pissed in it, stop fucking drinking it.
I would like to not be on this floor anymore.
It ain't my favorite. And
Thank
so,
you.
we walked right past it. So what ends up happening is, how unfair is that? What ends up happening is the cops eventually show up because Spider-Man decides to tell the girl that he's super in love with that he's in love with her. And she's like, it's on some like, why, how could you even like somebody like that? He's a piece of shit. And it's like, I would treat you like the princess you are. It is one of the most, wow, this was written by a high school student, things I've seen in a very long time. And there's nothing else, there's no other way to describe it. But what ends up happening is like, she doesn't even have anything to say. It just is what it is. That's what is said. And that's when like I guess like the CDC or the military show up, and they're like, we're gonna need you to go back inside. He's like, no, I'm going home. And he's like, go back inside. And he draws his gun, and they're like, okay, I guess we're going back inside now. Shit, fuck. I died in the cave, no less. I was knocked unconscious. Lost my consciousness. What you got? Who the fuck are you? I found you unconscious in the mines. You're lucky I passed by. Be a little more careful next time, okay? I'm in disco mode. I must have hit my head pretty hard. I've forgotten everything about the last 11 levels of the mine.
No.
It seems like I've also lost $700 and 2 items from my backpack.